Hello and welcome. We just got finished reading Creation of the Animal People, which is it's a very unique story because it implies a lot of different kinds of sentient creatures. And also at the very beginning, you have the earth was once a human being. Old One made her out of a woman. So you have the Old One, who is like a progenitor being, the thing that was before everything else, who then made a woman, a human being that we would recognize, and after some period of time, turned her into the earth and said, "You will be the mother of all people." So the way for her to become the mother of all people was to become the earth, which is the provider and that which gives the materials essentially for the creation of everything. So he creates everything, turns the soil is her flesh, the rocks are her bones, the wind is her breath, trees and grass are her hair. She lives spread out and we live on her. When she moves, we have an earthquake. All right, so we've got what all of the different elements of the humanity changed are, and this is what they are. The ancients were people, yet also animals. So you have this not human, but other. They had transcendence. They were beings of both worlds, the animal world and the human world. And they could essentially transform. Some of them had the ability to fly, some of them could swim, some of them could do other things. But after this, and all of these were made from the clay. All of the animal people, it said, were just made from clay and all had the gift of speech, as well as great powers and cunning than either animals or people. But deer, interesting, deer were never among the ancients. They were always animals. I wonder if this was like a hunting tribe, and deer were the thing that they hunted all the time. So to separate and be like, it's fine to eat deer. They're like, deer were always animals. You're never actually going to kill an ancient one. And it's also interesting to denote the fact that the ancient ones and the Indians are different. The Indians are exclusively made to be Indians or humans. They are made from the remnants of the clay. And their creation is unique in that it was breath of life that gave them life. The ancients were just people / pseudo animals that were created, but humans get actual like soul. They get breathed life into. One was just created alive, and the other was breathed life into. And he made them male and female so that they might breed and multiply. And so now you have everything that's been created, and all of it was created from the earth, so she becomes the mother of all things. And so you had the Indians who were born, and they were very unintelligent in comparison to the ancients. But the ancients were also terrible in their own right, in which they couldn't tell what could be eaten versus what couldn't be eaten. So they started eating each other and the humans, and they were consuming each other so much that they started to eat all of the life that was on the ground. Or I guess everywhere, really. So the Old One said, "There will soon be no people if I let things go on like this." So he sent Coyote to kill all the monsters and other evil beings among the ancients and to teach the Indians how to do things. And Coyote began to travel on the earth, teaching the Indians, making life easier and better for them, and performing many wonderful deeds. And I want to use all of this to kind of, in the Western tradition, explain a way of understanding this story. So you have the Old One, who is God, who creates the earth, and from the earth creates all other things. You have the ancients, who are kind of like, I'm going to say they are, it says that they're animals, but it specifies that there's a difference between ancients and animals. And the ancients have intelligence. So they're like the angels. And they could interact with the world, and they could take on multiple different forms. Because, angels have the ability to transform. And they're wise, wiser than humans. And humans were born and made into men and women so that they could be fruitful and multiply. But they did not have the knowledge of good and evil, which is something the ancients had. But the ancients became corrupt, or at least some of them did, to the point where they started messing with humans and with themselves. And then the old one, God, repents of the creation that he has made and sends the coyote, or a flood, to kill everything, and then afterwards teaches the humans everything and provides miracles. So if you want a way of understanding, this is their version of that story. And I think it's very interesting to see how it has almost like line for line the same structure as the Christian origin story. And it's probably the closest story to that same creation myth that I've read so far. So I think this is really cool and really neat to read. And it's so interesting to see how close the Indian tribes' idea of the origin and the separation of this like ancient one that precedes all other things, already existed. So it makes me really wonder about the history whenever like the the American settlers came over and they set up churches. They started talking about God. I wonder what the overlap was with a lot of these tribes, where they were like, your story sounds really similar to ours. I would really like to know the history of that. So if you know the history of that, please illuminate me or help me find resources so I can do some research on my own. But yeah, so that's what I got out of the story. What did you get out of the story? Let me know down in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the little notification bell, and if you liked this video, you're probably going to like the other stuff here. So why not check out one of these videos? Thank you.